What's up, everyone? We're back for another episode of Locked On Bucks, and following on from yesterday's episode, we have had a game. The Greek national team back on the floor, warming up for World Cup qualifiers, warming up for Eurobasket. Giannis, though, he doesn't technically believe in warming up. He just comes out first game and destroys everyone. So we're going to talk about Greece and Spain and some takeaways from that game now. So let's get started.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Bucks. I'm your host, Kane Pittman. You can see and hear me on this show most days through August, but probably post-game if there's something to talk about from the Greek national team, as we discussed in yesterday's podcast. You can also find my work over at ESPN, and alongside me, let me remember how I introduced this man, the founder of BrewHoop.com and longtime voice of the podcast, Frank Madden. When Giannis plays well, they all come out of the woodwork, don't they, Frank Madden? And I missed you, actually, so I'm glad that you're here. Thank goodness for the Greek national team.
Yeah, I was glad you had Harris Stavro on yesterday because I mean it's only natural, most of us are Bucks fans first, and so when the topic, and this goes back to Andrew Bogut's days, this goes back to time immemorial, right? When your favorite NBA players have a chance to play for their national team, there's always this like, well, yeah, do you really want them, getting tired over the summer, not getting the full summer off, exposing themselves to potential injury, right? It's only natural. I think we totally get it. But seeing Giannis today be able to put on the kind of show he did in front of Greek fans, people that have, that basically get to see him in person, once every couple years, maybe, typically, right? I mean, these tournaments are typically, generally never in Greece, right? But they'll play these kind of friendlies. They've got this Acropolis tournament next week that Giannis will presumably play at least, one or two games in out of three. It's just really cool, right? I mean, I think we are spoiled as Bucks fans that we get to watch Giannis, and hopefully, most of you listening have had a chance to see him live in person in Milwaukee. And, we've been fortunate as Bucks fans to have a lot of Greek fans join our legions and root on for the Bucks and see the Bucks win a championship and be part of our fan base. And so I think it's cool, as you said. I think you echoed the way a lot of us are feeling right now. We are, as Bucks fans, all Greek national team fans now. And so, putting aside sort of the cold, rational viewpoint of like, well, it's better if Giannis doesn't play internationally, right? If he gets hurt, I'm sure we'll revisit this topic, but it's just fun watching Giannis Antetokounmpo play basketball, and it's just really cool to see him do what he was doing today in front of fans that, just cheer him on from afar for, most of the year, and rarely get a chance to see him up close, and for him to, have by far his most dominant individual performance for the national team, 31 points on 13 shots. I mean, just kind of just doing whatever he wanted. It was fun to watch, and again, kind of gives you a chance to just sort of sit back and just say, we don't have to view everything through the lens of, what it means for the Bucks championship odds and, what skill set is he developing, things like that. Just watch Giannis just go out and crush some poor unsuspecting Spaniards for a couple hours, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah, all of these nations that have come together, probably most of them at the start of August, similar to the Greek national team, they are literally warming up. They're figuring it out. They're figuring out how they play together. Maybe a lot of these guys haven't played with each other. And for this Spanish team, who, let's be honest, on paper, not the strongest Spanish team of all time. You haven't got the Gasol brothers out there. I mentioned that earlier in our group message, and Eric Name said no Serge Ibaka either. So in terms of big dominant forces, perhaps that would be in the paint, that might be able to stand in front of Giannis and at least stop him. There wasn't really anyone that could do that on this Spanish team, and we spoke at length with Harris on yesterday's podcast about the challenges of FIBA basketball, the bodies that can just literally camp out in front of you for the entirety of the shot clock if they want to. Against this Spanish team, it just literally didn't matter. Now, maybe there is going to be stronger opposition to come in the next 6 weeks, or there definitely will be. But we've seen this before in preseason games with Giannis, where he might come out playing against a second string team, and it just doesn't matter. He just loves playing basketball. He can't slow down. He has to play everything at 100%, 110%. And to your point about the Greek fans, we see it when they have Greek night in Milwaukee. We certainly see it every time he goes to New York. Greek fans that are probably based in the US, but 15,000 fans in this arena. I believe it's one of the bigger basketball arenas in that part of the world as well. So it's fair to say there was probably a bit of adrenaline there, but this was as dominant as it gets. And this is why, if you are a Greek basketball fan right now, you're excited that maybe there will be some tougher challenges along the way. But if Giannis is playing at his best, you have to give yourself a chance. But overall, for me, it just felt like a long, long time, even though it was only 2 months since we got to watch Giannis do this. So from that point of view, in itself, was just a delight. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's been May 15th was the last time we've seen Giannis play, so almost 3 months now since we got to see him play, and I think again putting on my optimizing the Bucks offseason hat, right? Good to see him get that extended of a break. Given that a year ago, obviously, it was a very reduced offseason following for the best possible reason, because you win an NBA championship in, obviously a very weird season last year. So, yeah, I mean, I think just really fun to see him start this game next to a brother, not Thanasis, right? We've seen him start with Thanasis a couple times in Milwaukee, obviously play a little bit with Thanasis. Younger brother Kostas started at center in this game. Giannis threw him a lob up top early in this game for a finish. And kind of funny to see, I mean, I'm sure, some Milwaukee-based fans will recall seeing Kostas when he was at Dominican High School. Obviously, he becomes a two-way guy eventually with the Lakers, technically won an NBA championship in 2020 with the Lakers. Obviously not really a big part of that team, but fun to see him physically having matured, and he's playing in France now professionally. But he has, he's the one brother that actually, I'm not going to say he makes Giannis look small, because I still think Giannis is probably going to, can beat him in the weight room. But just in terms of pure height, Kostas might actually be taller. It looks like he's actually taller than Giannis, maybe by a smidge. But yeah, just really fun seeing, Giannis sharing the floor with at least two of his brothers, not surprisingly. Alex, who's, barely could play for a G League team last year with Toronto. We'll see what he does with the Herd this year. Not surprisingly, got his kind of cup of coffee with the national team, but was cut the other day. But still pretty incredible that three brothers would be on the same national team together. And Costas had some nice moments kind of as a rim roller in this game. But yeah, I mean, Giannis, kind of just like a will not be denied type of game. It was not that the Spanish were, trying to just play him one-on-one, or that the Greeks were spacing them out. I mean, it was as congested as you kind of worry that international play might be. But again, Giannis was just so physically dominant, and just felt like there were, probably 4 or 5 times where he got the ball and the Spanish sort of tried to throw a couple bodies and put their arms up and do the stuff that you try to do. And, Willie Hernan Gomez is on that team. I mean, he's a guy who's been an NBA center. It's not like they're completely undersized playing like 6'8" guys or something the entire game. But there are just a few moments where it's like you're kind of looking as like, oh, is Giannis going to go to like a jump hook? Is he going to shoot kind of like a little step back fadeaway? And it's just like, no, he's just going to, kind of take a step to his side and just telescope his arm and lay it in for basically a layup. And again, as you said, well, I'm just, I'm very curious to see how his game will continue to translate in kind of that FIBA environment, which we know is a more challenging style of game for someone like him. I think the one positive, I thought the Greeks did a great job all day of running and pushing it. And obviously there's nobody better at that in the world than Giannis. And he had a couple of really nice drives, had one play where he drew a Euro foul and got 2 shots in the ball, actually got called for one himself, fouling in the backcourt. Basically, he got called for the unsportsmanlike foul.
Good preparation, Frank. Good prep.
Yeah, the other team got 2 free throws in the ball, but there were other times where you could tell the team was, the Spanish were kind of like trying to not do that, and he just got ahead of steam, and it's just like, man, good luck stopping this dude in the open court. So yeah, I mean, I no longer I don't really approach these games thinking about them from the perspective of, ooh, will Giannis show us what he's added to his game? I mean, at this point, other than, again, the consistent 3-point shot, I think he's got, again, not that he can't continue to get better, mid-range jumper, all that stuff, but he shot the mid-range jumper very well last year. I mean, I think you'd probably be shocked to see some of the guys he shot mid-rangers better than last year. Didn't really need it today at all, though, and was just able to use that just supreme physicality. And then in the second half, for good measure, knocks down a pair of threes just to, give all of us that like to scrutinize every last jump shot Giannis takes and wonder like, oh, is he doing something a little bit different? It's August. We've done this every year for, a decade now. So I'm not going to bother with that, but it was pretty cool seeing him knock down a pair of threes in the second half, sort of as the kill shots to put away a Spanish team that was pretty much down double digits most of the game. Did come back and make it a bit competitive in the second half, but then Giannis sort of said, all right, let's end this. And, again, 13 points in the first half and 31 points overall in 21 minutes, basically. I mean, on 11 of 13 shooting, like you just can't kind of be much more effective than what we saw from him today. And as we said, there's going to be much harder opponents and games that he'll have. But obviously anybody who loves watching this dude play, he's going to leave it all on the floor no matter what the setting is. And hopefully, I mean, again, I have no expectations as far as where the Greeks are going to finish in the Eurobasket. Harris mentioned, kind of the challenges they have in terms of the bracket that they've got, in terms of some of the teams they're going to have to go through. But, as we say in the NBA and in the playoffs as well, with Giannis, you always have a chance. And, whether you're playing FIBA, NBA, slam ball, 3-on-3, I don't know, whatever sport you want to pick, team handball, I think if you've got Giannis on your side, you're going to have a chance.
So speaking of Giannis knocking down those couple of threes, if you want to check the odds for Giannis to win the 3-point contest, go to betonline.net. I actually don't think you can find those odds there at betonline.net, but it is the leader for everything with sports betting, sports wagering, sports information. Go to betonline.net. But what I can tell you, Frank, Kevin Durant, plenty of different I don't know if you want to call them, I guess that's what you call them, but plenty of different categories for Kevin Durant. So will Kevin Durant get traded before the start of the NBA regular season? Yes, plus 150. No, minus 200 there. Kevin Durant's next team, if it's not the Nets, the Boston Celtics are the favorites, closely followed by the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors. They've got different time frames for when you think this trade is going to go down. So it's just absolutely chaos with the Brooklyn Nets. But go to betonline.net if you're interested in that. There is NFL as well. NHL will roll around pretty soon. MMA, everything you need. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Kevin Durant starts the season on the Nets. Does he, Frank? You got a feel for this one? You want to make a prediction? You want to put your nuts on the line?
Jeez. I'm not putting anything on the line when it comes to Kevin Durant.
Okay,
but I would say, man, I always have found some I kind of like always wanted to like KD. But man, tough look for KD these days. And not that I feel a ton of sympathy for Sean Marks and Steve Nash. But I don't know. I'll let you say is I have a hard time seeing Josai, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, just saying like, oh, okay, sorry, KD, you've kind of jerked us around for a few months, and now you're just outright demanding we fire our GM and coach, so we're just going to do that. Like, I feel like as much as KD and even Kyrie are, less replaceable than Sean Marks and Steve Nash, I just feel like at some point ownership is just a little too proud to let. And let's just say there's a lot of culpability on KD's side, with all of this, right? Like, wasn't Steve Nash kind of like a blessed guy to bring in as his coach? I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I had been assuming that probably the most likely outcome was that KD comes back at least for the start of the season, and Kyrie as well, if that's the case. But now with this latest demand, I mean, seems like it's awfully difficult to imagine KD showing up to training camp with Steve Nash and Sean Marks still in their jobs. And I don't know. It just puts the Nets in a really tough spot, but that's presumably part of the calculus here, right? Like, he asked for a trade and the Nets were saying, like, it's not really a great trade, so we're just going to keep you. And now he's basically kind of burning all the bridges, taking the scorched earth. And he probably knows they're not just going to go fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, but are they going to trade KD? I don't know. I don't have a great feel for it, but never a shortage of drama in Brooklyn, that's for sure.
I thought Kevin Durant was the one who wanted Steve Nash as coach only 24 months ago. But anyway, whatever. Send him out west, get it over with, and we'll all continue on with our days. Let's get back to Giannis. So you mentioned people can analyze what Giannis does on the floor, all these types of different things. So as I was waking up in Australia, check the Twitter timeline. There's some interesting conversations going on. And I think that we are going to see this over the course of the next 6 weeks. Hopefully Giannis plays really well. Hopefully he's dominant. We don't need to use this as some sort of reason why the Bucks should fire Bud and bring in the Greek national team head coach to coach the Milwaukee Bucks. And you mentioned the shooting and stuff. So someone who does great work on Twitter, mentioned him before, probably should just get him on the podcast at some point, to be fair. Our friend Jake Reitz on Twitter does a bunch of clips. But the problem with doing the bunch of clips is everyone just thrives on it. They thrive on it. We're watching a game. I don't know where the Spanish team would rank in the NBA. They'd probably be last. And I mean, it's a game of basketball where everyone's enjoying Giannis dominating. It doesn't really mean much in terms of the NBA. And so you've got a clip there and it's like, look at Giannis as a screener. The man screens all the time. And then he actually screened and then went to the top of the key and just absolutely steamrolled through 4 guys and dunked on them. I mean, nothing happened because of that single screen that he set at the top of the perimeter. It's just like, as I was reading through Twitter and all the takeaways people were trying to take, I was thinking, am I the only one who just thinks that this is a game against a Spanish team that Giannis is simply too good for?
Yeah, I did post to our chat with Eric and Mitchell and Dean, someone who used this game as evidence of what Giannis can do with quote unquote actual coaching, which it was like, is that really? I
don't know.
Is that why he scored 31 points on 20 shots? Because he's finally surrounded by good coaching. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Bud has never made a mistake, but
of course,
I hope he gets great coaching with the Greek national team. I hope the Greek national team does great. But yeah, I don't think we need to, use every game as a litmus test for things that the Bucks are or are not doing. Right? If Kostas has another good game, I'm just waiting for the should Kostas replace Brook as the Bucks long-term option at center or something like that. I'm not saying the average fan is going to say that, but I feel like there's got to be some corner of the Bucks / Greek national team Twitter that is going to maybe start getting carried away with stuff. If Tyler Dorsey hits some threes, then it's like, what's Tyler Dorsey doing that, what's Grayson Allen doing that Tyler Dorsey can't do, right? Well, hold down an NBA job would be the obvious reason. But yeah, I mean, again, we'll root for this Greek national team, hope for the best. But it is for better or worse, it's a very different game than the NBA. And I'm not going to get, at this point, we've been to the mountaintop with Giannis, so I'm not going to, again, I just don't bring the same lens of, oh, what does this tell us about where his game is at and how he's developing and that kind of stuff. He's 10 years in now. I think this is more Giannis being Giannis, and everybody else just has to kind of adapt to it, and we'll see. But I think certainly encouraging that he played under control today kind of played with kind of controlled violence, if you will. I don't think I recall any charges. Got 10 free throws in 20 minutes, and that last exclamation point dunk on a fast break alley oop. That was a pretty cool thing to see. Pretty electric moment in the building, and you could tell by Giannis's reaction and his yell afterwards that he was obviously feeling that energy, feeling the emotion of what it's like to have a great game and just play fun basketball in front of your home country's fans and people that just don't get to see you very much. So all in all, A, came through it healthy, right? Job one. B, played really well, won the game, and just an exhibition. But hopefully he'll continue to play at a similar level here over the next, call it 6 weeks, and we'll see where that lands them in the Eurobasket.
Yeah, a couple of points that I think will matter as the tournaments get going. One was the free throws you already mentioned, but he only actually had one foul that he gave away. It was spoken a fair bit that fouling can be really problematic for big men in the FIBA game. Certainly those that aren't used to playing there and probably play with a little bit more physicality in the NBA. So that'll be something to watch. And the other thing that was just really interesting is if you take away the threes that Giannis took and made, the whole team was actually only 5 for 14 from three. Now they obviously spread out the rotation. It's a 40-minute game, so the NBA numbers don't necessarily translate across. But I would suspect as they play better opposition and as they get into the tournaments, they're going to obviously need to probably take a few more threes. And it'll be fascinating to see whether those guys can knock them down because, this was something, again, that Harris mentioned. They probably aren't the best three-point shooting team. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as the weeks go on. One other thing, you mentioned Hernan Gomez. I think it was it Juancho that was on this team. And by the way, my question is,
Both.
if he wasn't so,
Billy and Juancho.
well, if Juancho wasn't so caught up in the Hollywood lifestyle, then perhaps he would have a better chance at slowing down Giannis as he's playing FIBA basketball. I mean, he's caught up. He's an actor now. He would have been able to. He would have been able to stop Giannis potentially in a movie if he was Cruz. Bo Cruz.
Yeah, what did I'm looking at the box score here.
I can see Billy there. Yeah, I can see.
Do we know what Juancho's numbers were for today? I mean,
4 points in 23 minutes.
2 for 10 from the field. So,
yeah, I mean, not Bo.
Not the most impressive performance, but it is what it is. Alas, let's just say this was a lot more in the battle of movie star basketball players. The Disney Rise movie
That's right.
took home the spoils from this game over Juancho's hustle movie. So just too bad for Juancho. Just one more L for him in the grand scheme of actual basketball. Although he did make, I guess, who signed him? Somebody signed him to an NBA contract, actually. So he is technically an NBA player again. So he's got that going for him at least.
Well, no spoilers for those that haven't watched it, but it's not Philadelphia, was it? wasn't that who he got drafted?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay. A couple of other things, or one thing that may be of interest to you, Frank. There's been a number of former Bucks players that have signed down in Australia in recent times. Rajon Tucker is going to be joining me in Melbourne. He's playing for Melbourne this season. And an interesting signing that I saw this morning that may be of particular interest to you, Frank. Justin Robertson has also signed in Australia. So that'll be exciting.
So you're going to be on the Justin Robinson beat, huh?
Yeah, I've never seen a man that rarely played bother someone more than Justin Robertson and you last season.
I mean, you and Justin were just trying to build a statue for the guy, feeling so bad for him, not trying to,
He's just growing.
I was just like, he's just not good. It's fine. He's just bad and shouldn't be on the Bucks. By the way, some fun. Not that this Justin Robinson discussion isn't fascinating. Some fun name trivia in this game. So,
okay.
You may not have spotted Willie Hernangomez in the box score, because in the box score he's listed as Willie Goyer. His full name is Guillermo Gustavo Hernangomez Goyer, Geuer. I thought the last name was in Spanish names was always like the mother's name, which is why they don't usually go by it. But he's listed as Willie Goyer, and that was on the back of his jersey. And then Juancho obviously had Hernangomez listed as Hernangomez. So you may not have realized that the two brothers were in the game. And then Costas had his name on the back of his jersey with the original Nigerian Antetokounmpo spelling, Adetokounmbo, while of course the Nasus Giannis had it with the, Greekified Antet, the rest spelling. So that was kind of funny, just that you had two sets of brothers in this game, and on each side they actually went by different last names on their jerseys. Then one of them went by different last names on their jerseys than the others. And then probably the one that I thought was the funniest was, speaking of Giannis and sort of how his name was transliterated, the ADE became an ANTE, and Tyler Dorsey, who of course is American but of Greek heritage and plays in Greece now, has played for the Greek national team now for a number of years. His jersey now is NTORSEY, or maybe the last part was a little different, but anyway, they changed the D in Dorsey to NT on his jersey. So he's really going to embrace the Greek spelling, embrace his roots, which when I first saw it, I was like, NT, what? Torso? Oh, and I was like, oh, like Antetokounmpo. Okay, I got you. So anyway, for anybody who likes just linguistics and, different stuff like that, just a treasure trove of random trivia to be found in this game, because let's be honest, probably not a whole lot of, basketball breaking down that we have to do with it.
All right, what else we got? We put up the schedule here over the next few games. So there's one warm-up game down. That was against Spain. They'll play Spain again. This one in Madrid, though. It'd be interesting to see the crowd there. Still get a chance to see.
Think they rest Giannis?
I think so.
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
They gave him a home game against, against his front of his regular fans, and they go back home next week. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe they have some agreement with like the Spanish national team that they're gonna play Giannis like 10 minutes or something. But I certainly would hope he doesn't play or plays very limited minutes again in this return game against Spain. I'm also curious if there's more Spain. I don't know if Spain was resting a bunch of dudes in this game, but that obviously could have also been the case. It'll be interesting to see how these rosters compare in the kind of the return fixture.
It's time to dust off Pau Gasol, Bucks legend Pau Gasol. I reckon. put him back out there. Get Pau back out there. Any final thoughts or anything you want to get off your chest here, Frank?
Not really. Just, nice to have a random basketball game.
Oh yeah.
To throw on while doing work in the middle of a day, and nice to see Giannis just wrecking dudes as he is wont to do.
Beautiful.
And I mean, again, looking forward to hopefully another a weekly press twice a week Giannis dominating performance to watch. And I guess probably the trickiest thing is, I mean, you just flashed it up. The Eurobasket group play is 5 games in 7 days to start. So that is that's not great. So again, obviously they've got to strike a balance here between kind of getting a rhythm and learning how to play with each other a bit over the next few weeks, and also being mindful of just, ramping guys up, because, not only are they worried about obviously injuries and stuff like that, but they're also just, I mean, none of these guys have been playing basketball games for a few months now. So hopefully they will take it easy on Giannis. Hopefully that great coaching, that superior Greek coaching that Giannis can't get with the Milwaukee Bucks, hopefully they will be as mindful of his minutes as the Bucks tend to be. But by the same token, hey, I get it. They don't get to coach this guy very much, so they probably, you get the keys to the Ferrari for the weekend. It's like they might tell you to take it easy, but you kind of want to see what it can do.
40-minute game. They can't play more than 40 minutes once they get to the gold medal game. the Greek national team. So that will be just fine. But just quickly, it is fascinating that schedule because we've got the Women's World Cup coming up here in September in Australia as well. And it's the same thing for them. They're playing back to back to back to back. I'm just like, any danger we just spread the tournament out an extra couple of days? Like, what? Why are they playing
Yeah.
4 days in a row? It's crazy to me. But it'd be interesting to see how they navigate their way through that, particularly in a pretty difficult group and plenty of strong teams out there in Europe. Make sure you check out the Locked On NBA podcast as well. I assume they're probably talking Kevin Durant this week. It's kind of a really dead period in the NBA, but check out the Locked On NBA podcast after us. I'm sure we'll be back at some point for some more Greek national team post-game stuff. Plenty of games coming up in the next few weeks. So that will be fun. And then we'll see. This month will be over soon. We'll be back to 5 days because preseason, the schedule's already out. That's October 1st. So I guess we've got...
Are you going to Abu Dhabi, Kane?
No. I got an offer from the... No. I won't go there. All right. Let's wrap it up.
It's a shorter flight for you than us, man. We gotta get you on a plane. Got to get you on Emirates to Abu Dhabi to see the Bucks.
That's right.
Come on, ESPN Australia. Come on, ESPN Australia. Let's do this.
Yeah, well, Harris. Actually, I'll be at the Women's World Cup. Sorry, I'm out. I'll be working. But Harris did suggest that we all make our way to Berlin for the Eurobasket final in a couple of weeks' time. I think I can rule that one out. Sounds great. It's a long way away from Australia, though. So anyway, we'll see how the next few weeks go. As I said, plenty of Greek coverage, and we got plenty of comments from our Greek friends after the podcast last night. Everyone's excited. It's good to have basketball back, so we'll speak to you guys probably a couple of days next time we podcast. Speak to you guys then.